Here is another one of our nice ones at St Helens. Now, this is the daughters of Good Queen. If you remember from our video on queen grafting, Good Queen is the mother of these, and we took her out of here because she's in her third year now, and it's a good idea to just sort of spare her a little, because maintaining a colony like this, she'll be laying a lot more eggs, because the number of eggs she lays is actually determined by the number of nurse bees available to nurse them. And so my notation system, if I show you up here, you want to leave them about 3 weeks after you split to give them a chance to bring on their new queen and get her mated. So there's really no point in looking at her for 3 weeks. So here's my little notation system, and I just revisit and put an X in. And so I do need to just check the supers. I won't go down into the brood box. There'll be nothing to see or anything that I could do about it, even if there was. So I'm just going to check that there's room in these two, and maybe have to put a third on just to give them the space. Now, if the schedule is right, there should be a hatched virgin queen in there looking to be mated. And as you can see, we have a lot of drones around. Now, the queen doesn't mate with the drones in the hive, so these big boys with the big eyes, ready to spot a queen or two. And the one next to is queenless as well, bringing on a new queen, superceding. And there's a drone having a wash and brush up, making himself look good for prospective ladies. They don't mate in the hive. The queen flies out to a drone assembly. But whenever there's a virgin queen, you always notice a big bump in the numbers of drones present. Now, I've read about there being such a thing as drone drift, that drones don't go home to just one hive, they'll go to whatever hive they feel like and are pretty much welcomed wherever. And I think that's possible. And you definitely see a lot more when there's a virgin queen about. I think that they come and hang around a hive where there's a virgin queen, ready to get a head start when she flies out on the mate. My own theory, I've never been able to find anybody else of that opinion to corroborate it, but it's an explanation for an observed phenomenon. I'd love for you to tell me what you think, if you know anything for a fact that might prove that. But this is a lot more drone activity than you would see in this hive at the normal times. So yeah, we'll see. So sometimes it's really apparent at your first glance exactly what the problem is. So you see, I've just had a peek under the crown board and know exactly what I'm looking at there. So I go straight to the second super down, have a peek under that, and it's much the same story. And they've got plenty of space, and the reason is that when I did the splits this year, I've been much more in favour of doing queen splits, by which I mean you take the queen and you put her in a new empty hive, but then you put that empty hive in the location of the previous hive, so that all the flying bees, the foraging bees that are out getting nectar, then come back to join her. Now, foraging bees are the oldest bees in the beginning part of their life, having hatched out. They are nurse bees and do all the inside of the hive jobs. So the hive that's had the queen taken out will get foraging bees fairly quickly as the bees age and graduate up to being foraging bee. And they have the brood to get over the fact that they've got possibly 3 weeks without a laying queen in. Now, sometimes when you split quite a small hive, the effect of the foraging bees isn't really much of a problem because there aren't very many mouths to feed. But where this hive is very big, that bump in foraging, or that loss of foraging bees, meant that there were more mouths to feed, so they weren't able to put a surplus of honey away. So those supers were in fact no more honey in there than the previous ones. But this second hive, being a little bit smaller in population, has a very interesting, totally different story in it. And again, I spot it the moment I peek under that crown board, and I'll be able to talk to you about it out of voiceover, so I'll switch over now. Yes, here's an interesting story. Nothing, nothing, nothing. Finished, finished, finished. A little bit. Nothing, nothing, nothing. Now, so they start from the middle and work out. This one again, we superseded. We took the queen out and let them bring on a new one. Now, the reason that we did that was because they were going to swarm, and so by managing that, we don't lose any bees, and we let them think that they've swarmed, and it gets it out of their system. And so, pretty good hive, this one. But I wonder if the interruption to the queen has knocked back their foraging, because what I tend to do is I tend to take the queen and then put the queen back where the hive was, so that the flying bees fly back to join her, leaving all the nurse bees and the hive bees that aren't flying bees yet in here. And I think you can see this documents that interruption, that the flying bees got this much done, and then the bees have finished those to store them, but they haven't got enough flying bees at the minute. They will do as things progress. Within a couple more weeks they'll have loads of more flying bees. And yeah, so these will start again, but these would be ready to take. I just won't yet this week, just because I've not got the space, the right setup at home yet. I have to set up the extraction room, and I haven't got that done yet, so these will just sit at home, so they might as well just sit on the hive. The bees will look after it. But yeah, interesting, obvious sudden interruption and the effects there. So they'll pick up the pace again within a couple of weeks, which is good. Why are you trying to mate with a worker, you daft bugger? Look at him. That was eagerness. And he's above the queen excluder, which he can't get through either, so we'll help him out. He's obviously been stuck there a couple of weeks. It's probably driven him nuts. Ooh, wax moth, goodbye. The bees will do it with less grace. So, let Drone escape, because he's probably been stuck in that super a while.